Um, this is volume 5. This is the first sketchbook at this scale. This is the scale of pretty much the rest of my sketchbooks that I have after this point. A slightly different lighting setup this time, so hopefully this will be a little bit better. But anyways, yeah, so this is like an 18.5 by 11, I think, sketchbook. It's got a hard cover. This is a Canson brand. I've gone through all sorts of different brands. I'm not really too picky. Some of them take watercolor a little bit better than others. But anyways, this one, so this is kind of what I tend to go. So this is volume 5. Let's get into it. Yikes. All right, so these are the dates. This was a very fast, I filled this up quick. I think mostly that's because a lot of it is figure drawing, and that's why it got full so quick, because I didn't do as many finished pieces in here. Because, yeah, this was just a 2-month sketchbook. Here's a self-portrait. I think it looks terrible, but you know what I am starting to explore here is line weight variation. You can see how this line is really thick and it tapers down to thin. And I'm using these thin marks for my facial hair. You can really tell the trad more influence in this a lot. But then there's like some very interesting, like these hatch marks here. Like, what are those doing? This hatch over, I guess I'm trying to work on that like ridge in the middle of my nose. But like there's this hatch work in my ears that isn't, like, it's not directional or anything. This, I'm trying to show like my cheekbone, but, or like these. Yeah, like I know that I'm like supposed to indicate some sort of volume there. I just don't know how to do it. I really over exaggerated my filtrum for some reason. The likeness isn't terrible. It's just, there's some like misguided pieces. I do have really sunken eyes like this, so I do kind of like that. Just some gestures that I left undone. Some more gestures. This was interesting. So this was one of the first comics I worked on with someone else. This guy approached me about a story. I think I did 4 pages for it. I threw them out a while back, I think. I probably still have scans of them, but basically the idea was there was this guy that somehow he like stumbled upon a time travel device, and that was this guy. And then he was being chased around through time by this guy. What was it called? Oh man, I forget what it was called. But these are like the 2 main characters. I was practicing drawing guns. Oh yeah, so this was Detective Eggheart. So playing with some character design stuff. So I'm not getting this far eye correct. And what's kind of the problem is that the eyes are like equal. They're not wrapping around the figure, and like the nose doesn't have any volume. The nose isn't covering it up. So today I brought some tracing paper so I can kind of do some edits here for fun. So if I were to draw this today, I got to make the most of this tracing paper because I'm imagining there's going to be a lot. So like one eye being here, and then the nose kind of taking this shape, and then the other eye still being pretty close. But this this brow that's like overarching here is just a little too strong. I'm like exaggerating some things a little too much. He's got some jowls here, which I do like. I do like that kind of feature, but he is missing a chin. This might even be too small for you to see. But basically this eye is like way too, it's too high up over here. So there's some serious anatomy problems with this in general. Like all of that is fairly in proportion, and that's fairly in proportion, but this is an itty bitty waist here. I do like this spiral fold I've got going on the figure. It's not working at all. You can tell I don't know how to do drapery at all here. Like what's going on here with this just sort of star shape. And I like recognize that like it should bunch up at the ankles and at the knees, but I don't know what to do with it once it's there, right? I'm not getting the idea that like this shape, you know, it should hang, and it kind of goes back and forth like that, like the spiral of a, or the zigzag of a zigzag fold. It's just a lot of kind of overcomplicating some stuff. And then I don't know the anatomy of the forearm here. If we look at my buddy, so I'm getting this little bump, like that's what I'm trying to show here. And then I recognize that the elbow sticks out, so like I see this divot, and that's what I'm trying to draw there, but it's just not quite accurate. And you can see like the this part of the arm should be coming towards us, because if you look at the side, the top arm goes down and then the front arm comes forward slightly and then the hand goes back. So it kind of has an exaggerated, from the side view, like this. This is what your hand does, right? So here, in order to show it from the front, basically I need to invert this fold here, so that the it looks more like it's going back like this, and then this part can look like it's coming forward. And some sort of thing like a watch, or even just some hair on the forearm can start to indicate the volume on this hand. And then just simplifying the shapes a little bit. Okay, so see, that's already a marked improvement on that. All right, I'm not gonna get this deep into every drawing. I need to make time so we can actually get through the whole book. But this was, I remember this being sort of a fun little project. Here's the other character, forget his name. But he was a gunslinger. I remember being very proud of this drawing at the time. Like at the time I was like, I crushed it. And I'm looking at it now going, yikes. There's a lot of these like just straight lines. You know what I do like about this character though is the nose. That nose is just bananas. Especially on this one, I like how crooked it gets. From the front, I haven't figured out how to draw eyes from the side over here. Okay, some gestures. I remember this was that same website. Like I said, this is probably going to be filled with a lot of gestures if this book only took me 2 months. But so these are probably like 30-second gestures. Just figuring out some motion stuff. I recognize this one. I've done that one since. Some more figure drawing. These are probably 5 minutes. Yeah. And then the website would also do faces. So these are probably 30-second face gestures. Now this, I can see I'm starting to make some really good headway, like with the nose here and stuff. This one I'm like, oh, I'm not comfortable with this angle, so I'm trying to figure it out. But you see all these that are more head-on or 3/4. I'm clearly much more comfortable with it. I do like this. That's really cool. Now here, I feel like I'm finally realizing that when you look at the head from below, that nose is going to stick out. Let's see if I can get the angle right. Yeah. That nose is going to stick out. Now this, you know, the head is actually it would be tilted back so that the chest isn't covering up. But you see how that nose sticks off the body, off the silhouette. And then the chin kind of covers up. You don't really see the eyes or anything. So this is actually pretty good. I'm pretty proud of that. Some more faces. One nice thing is these are with pen. As you can see, I think this is a ballpoint pen. Or maybe it's a Micron. It's a tech pen of some sort. But that's helping me not fuss around with the line that I use. That's pretty good, all things considered. Okay, so here is the okay, Law of Time. That's what the comic was called. So here's the thumbnails for that book. So we've got, okay, and I'm sort of like setting out the this is kind of fun. This is the layout of this alley. Now what's hilarious about this is all the planning I did into this alley, and you barely see it. You know, like this sort of makes sense for like if you were doing what's it called? Like a movie scene or something, and you want to make sure that you keep continuity or something. But anyways, okay, so I'm thinking through some cool stuff compositionally. I've got the New York skyline, like I'm trying to communicate that, and he's just shooting, he's dodging, then he points it back. That, like, this actually is a fairly nice kind of composition. This, yeah, I like the idea of this being a little bit more dynamic, like I'm saying. Okay, then he's hiding around the corner, shoots around the corner. Man, I remember doing these. That's kind of crazy. Shoot back. He's reloading. I remember, like, dent. Cocks it. Comes around 2 shots. What happened? What happened in the story? Oh, well. Who knows? Those might have been the only pages I did. Okay, just some head studies. Apparently, this is kind of a nice structural thing going on here. Same with this one, some cool structural stuff. I can see some of my influences, some Ben Caldwell. Still trying to figure out that nose, what to do with it. Okay, here's some more of this. Law of Time. Oh man, this is see, this is kind of a fun composition. The idea of he's balancing 2 bullets to look like an hourglass. That's kind of cool. Law of Time. I'm making like a cool logo thing. Okay. You know, this is a very funny thing that I feel like happens a lot with early like stories and stuff, is that creators get bogged down, including myself. I'm doing it right now, actually, in a different project. We get bogged down in, like, the world-building things, right? So, I'm going to make a really cool logo for this story. Meanwhile, the story actually sucks and is you know, non-existent. Anywho, yeah, right now I'm working on these logos for these baseball teams, and I still haven't written the story. I've done the first draft. I just need to keep it up. Okay, this is pretty fun. So he's throwing this. You know, these thumbnails are actually really strong. I actually like this. The storytelling's pretty good too, for the most part. There's a few places where I think it could. But like, so he throws it, he's dodging it, he shoots, and then he shoots. So this should be a little bit more dynamic. This being a full figure. And then the bullets collide. That's cool. And then he shoots one more, and that one actually hits Egghart. Then he comes up on him, thinking that he's dead. He gets up. Yeah, this doesn't, I guess it doesn't quite sell that he's dead. Or he thinks he's dead. He's like, what? What happened? He's like, I'm wearing I remember the dialogue was something like, I'm wearing a bulletproof vest, you idiot. And then he says, are you wearing a bulletproof knee pad? So then he's some just perspective study, I guess. He points it at his knee. He shoots him in the knee. Ouch. Click. He's like trying to get information out of him or something. And then There's a lot of dialogue things happening. He takes off his hat for some reason. And he's like ashamed of something. I don't know. But oh yeah, I remember with this one, I wanted to show like the full meat. I need to see if I can find these pages. Like the finished pages. I definitely don't think I got this far in actually doing all of it. I think I only did like 3 of these pages. So then he's like, okay, here's the device. Oh, and then he dies. I think he just dies. And then so the cowboy takes the vest. He blips through time or whatever. And now we're in Japan, and behind him we see a samurai pull a samurai sword. So cool stuff. Apparently I'm watching Avatar at the time. Some other random things. Fairly decent foot. Okay, some more gestures. Now, what's interesting about these gestures is I do know that I'm constructing these. So, like the beans. This actually might have been around Heroes Con. I think that this might have been around Heroes Con. Just because this I remember from a panel I went to. I think that might be happening. Anyways, so I'm building these characters. These aren't from reference. I'm just trying to figure out how can I put some stuff together sort of structurally. Here I'm starting to do some fun cartooning. You still see, I noticed this thing in some of Trad Moore's art that I'm doing a lot here, where I'm doing like pairs of lines. Like these 2 lines here. But I don't know how to use it. I just see it in someone else's art and I'm like, oh, I should do that. Okay, some interesting Batman villains. These are just some fun silhouettes. I like these overall. I like the Penguin a lot. That's a good one. Some Voldemort and Goblin stuff. A study of some a boot for the Law of Time. I forget what this was for. I feel like this was a school assignment or something. No, because this was 2014. Yeah, this was before then. It's a creepy monster. Okay, I think I just got a brush pen, so I'm like, I'm gonna go nuts and I'm gonna have fun. So I just started doing some weird little squiggles, seeing what I could get with it. Playing with some characters and things. Oh, here's the final of that one I did earlier. Okay. You can see I'm a little hesitant to like spot blacks, and yet I put these guys in silhouettes. I wish I had just filled in this with black. These teeth are kind of funky looking. They got all this plaque on them. I mean, he's a monster, so cool. But you know what is cool is I'm kind of building up some different textures, right? I've got these stripes. I've got sort of this scaly pattern back here. I'm playing with that line variation that I mentioned. You got these thin to thicks, and then these very tiny ones. Basically, what I need to do at this point, what I'm seeing is I've got these really thick lines, and I've got these very thin lines, but there's nothing in between. So it feels very like I don't want to say sticker art or tattoo art in like a condescending way, but like it's got a very kind of pop arty look to it. I'm not getting that middle line weight. So this is interesting. This brow is still not quite right. But I'm starting to kind of do some hatching to figure things out. Some more eyes too close. Okay, I can see it. I can see what's not working. Here I'm just erasing the eye. This is a fun gesture. I like this a lot. That's really cool. I really like that. Just yeah, that's a really cool gesture. Some fun nose studies. I remember I watched the movie with Steve Martin. It's based off of a dang it, why can't I think of the Shakespeare play? Is it Shakespeare? It's the one where the guy has a really big nose. I think it's called Roxanne. Look, I don't know. Egg heart profile. I feel like I'm finally starting to figure out profile. That eyes are going to look like this. You know? You don't really see much of the eye when it's from the side. This is a fun self-portrait. I do have a mole down there that grows hair, so that's fun. This is a coworker. This, I guess, is a tiger samurai, some sort. These are pretty neat. I like how I'm kind of simplifying things. These are some childhood friends that asked me to draw them. These are actually, this is a really good likeness, actually. This one I think is a pretty good likeness too, but this one's very strong. This is a self-portrait, and it's a really good one. It's a zombified me as well. This is a self-portrait. That one's pretty good as well. This is planning for something. Let me take a selfie. I had the idea that you know, if there was a zombie apocalypse, people would still want to take selfies as zombies. So here she's taking a selfie, and then this is the selfie that she took. That's pretty funny to me. Draw some cars using perspective. Some other figure stuff. Oh my goodness. So hashtag that white car. This, I was on a, I took a road trip, to pick up my car. My brother had driven it to Arizona where he lived. And it has a Lotso bear on the front. And, so me and my buddy David, we flew out there to drive it home. But first we drove to California, and then we drove home. Fun stuff. Oh, cool. So, today's sketchy. That's interesting. So this was 2014. That would have been when that started. So that's actually, just a side note, that's what this is. So every day, every morning, I take a sheet of paper and I draw what happened on the previous day. It's my personal journal. So yesterday I colored this Lord of the Rings print. I flattened local colored the Nativity comic. Vincent went to the dentist. I played softball with some of the neighbors. Ginny fell and hurt her cheek. And I was thumbing out a devil print. So that's what I did yesterday, essentially. And I've been doing that since 2014, every day. Anyways. This is I like that as like a self-portrait kind of thing. This must have been while we were sitting in traffic. I was drawing us. More of this character from The Law of Time. Some figure drawing stuff. This was a self-portrait for, like, this was a profile picture of mine for a while. Because I've got that darn mole. Okay, cool. These are some pretty good figure drawings. This is very expressive. I like this a lot. That is really good. So is this one. I like the eyes on this one. This feels very expressive. This is pretty great too. This forearm, this arm is really good. That one's pretty wonky, but this one's pretty good. And the head structure. Another one of my chimeras where I'm drawing two animals combined. So this was Sharktopus. I'm trying to drink hot chocolate while I do this. That was a bad idea. Speed Racer. Okay, big problem here. Let me do a draw over on this one. Okay, the big problem here is this. The sleeve should go the other way. Should come like this. Other than that, it's actually pretty good. Right? Because then it looks more like a like the arm is going away from us, and then it should come towards us. So even here, the glove really should come this way. Should curl around the front, and then something more like that. Yeah. That's what's wonky about this. Everything else works. This one is coming towards us, so both of these curves make sense, but on this side, both of the curves should be flipped. And then it works. Like the exaggerated figure, that's all great. It's cartooning, that's cool. But that arm is wrong, categorically. Okay, some fun stuff. I must have been watching Game of Thrones at the time, because this is some Game of Thrones characters. Cool, some more figure stuff. This is all from my brain. So the downside there is I should be studying more real life or photos, because some of this anatomy is pretty bad. Okay, 30-second figure gestures. I labeled these 30 seconds, 30 seconds. So yeah, so the rest of this is probably going to be figure drawing. That one's pretty good. So this is 30 seconds, and then, so it was a gesture like this, and then I went back and put in a figure later, which is kind of cool. And there's pieces of it that are good and pieces of it that are bad. So 30 seconds, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. That's pretty good. I like that one a lot. Yeah. 5 minutes, 45 seconds, 11 minutes, 30 seconds, 30 minutes, I am Groot. I don't know how long that one was. 30 seconds, 30 seconds. 30 seconds, 1 minute. 1 minute, 1 minute. This one's pretty strong. This is some good anatomy. The shoulders are a bit broad, but I remember, I feel like the hips should be a little bit wider. She was wearing an interesting kabuki mask. I do remember that one, actually. I've seen that image since. This one's pretty good. A little off balance, but it is pretty good. I like that one. Still, I'm just fascinated with trying to get these eyes right. They just feel all lifeless and stuff. I think part of the thing with eyes is sometimes people, like, you work too hard. Like nowadays when I draw a face, more often than not, when I draw a face, it's like, there's an eye, there's an eye, and there's a nose. Like, but back then I'm like laboring, trying to make sure I draw it right. And now I just kind of just draw like two, like, quick slits for the eyes. 30 seconds, 30 seconds. I think after this sketchbook, I realized I don't need to be spending like a sketchbook on this. I need to just use newsprints and stuff. This is pretty good. Starting to do some real anatomy study. A really fun feature of the upper body is this indentation right here. So if you look on this side where the skin is stripped away, there's like a cavity where there's like no muscle here up underneath there. It's between your deltoid and your pec. And it's just so cool. So there's this little valley right in between those. Hang on, let me put this back. I'll set it down. This valley right here where there's like a little triangular shadow that hangs out there. I'm starting to figure out the trapezius. I still haven't quite mastered that sternocleidomastoid. It should connect a little bit more like like this. Here's what it's doing, and then the trapezius does that. And then maybe we'll see the platysma flexing on it. Just gonna spin a little bit and fix this real quick. But I mean, it is important that I'm not drawing on the original sketchbook because I want to keep this as it is. This is like a time capsule. I get to see where I was back then. I don't want to go back and fix this. That would be silly. This is a really good one. This is strong. What I love about this is the highlight of this curve versus this stretch coming out on the other side. And then sort of the same thing down here. We got this curve, and then we've got this stretch. And then back here, we got this straight, and we got this curve. It's just very pleasing. This was a 22-minute. So this was from my head. I tend to go a lot more cartoony when it's from my head. I think this one was from my head though, and I really like this one. I'm pretty sure this one was from my head. That's pretty good. I do like that one. There's some stuff that's working. The legs are a little small, but particularly the upper leg. This is interesting. I'm trying to go into perspective. I'm saying that the legs are still a bit off, which is true. But it's mostly that the legs are too short. Yeah. Some self-portraits, not all that great. Still playing with that line weight variation, you see? I just need to build up these values. More figures. Oh, here's something interesting. This one we saw just a second ago. There. That's the same image, you can see. Because it's this website that goes through a bunch of images of people in dynamic poses or sitting or things. So sometimes you get the same ones. This is good. That's really good. This is a difficult one. That's a difficult perspective, but that's actually pretty good. I like this one. You know what's really solid here is the radiobrachialis, this muscle right here. I really sculpted that out. That's really nice. And then these curves on the toes, and then that's a good one. Oh, yeah, my angsty days are not over. Artists are the best lovers. They always see beauty even in the knots of your hair. Get it? I feel like I saw that quote somewhere. Or maybe I made it up. I don't know. Let's say I made it up. But this drawing is fairly good. See, I haven't inked a lot of my figures. I've got that line weight variation. It's at least tapering, which is something. I've got that nice twist in the form. It's not quite accurate, but it's getting there. Like, you can see the twist there. This is what I'm trying to indicate. But like, I should have the valley on the one side, but not on the other. Indicated with these. It's pretty good. This foot's a little busted. Good hands here. Again, with like this hatching back here, I'm trying to like push it back, but I don't know like how to do that. And if you were to follow this anatomy, like if I were to draw the rest of this hand, you know, like here's the thumb. If we were to connect this, that hand is really wonky shaped. It should be more like this, and then here comes the hand like that. So very wonky indeed. These are good, nice dynamic. A great tool for showing the volume of fingers is the fingernails, and you can see that right here, right? Because here you've got the basic shape of the finger, but once you add this curve of this fingernail and you add the curve underneath where you've got the other segments of the finger, now it's starting to have volume, like it's this tube that's bending towards you, right? So remember that you can do that with the fingernails. They can add a lot of volume. All right. They also, you can see here the knuckles, they all kind of stay on these curves together, which is very pleasing. Did a lot of hand studies. I love drawing hands. Hands are really cool. This is awesome. I love that one. That just looks cool. Some fun hands. Spider-Man. Silly. Fun dog. Playing with some hair silhouette shapes. This is Abe Sapien. Nice. Some more figure drawing, figure drawing, figure drawing. I was in a good habit of figure drawing. I unfortunately am kind of out of the habit now. These are both really dynamic. I like, oh, this head like popped up from earlier. Remember we had all those. Look, it's this dude again. It's this guy. I basically drew the same guy again. I wonder if I did that on purpose. I've always kind of liked a guy that has like this line where like from his nose it just recedes down his neck. Like he just has no chin. There's also something about like a very dynamic pose and then like a super caricatured head. I like the hair movement here. That's good. This is really gestural. I like this a lot. I was clearly using like the edge of a pencil. This is fun. This is tight. This is well done. This is very structurally sound. I'm paying attention to the muscles here. That's good. Feet! A lot of feet drawings. Hellboy. Oh, this is fun. This is a head from the back. That's a really good drawing. I'm still seeing too much eye in this drawing. I'd see even less. Oh, but I know this was I drew these in church because this is the back of someone's head, and this is the pastor. So yeah, I'm clearly doing this in church. I'm paying attention, don't worry. Gesture, 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 gesture. That's a pretty good gesture. I like that one. I can tell what's going on there. Even if you can't, I can. That's what's important. Nice. That's strong. This is strong. Oh, that's really strong. I'm paying attention to the light as well, kind of looking at the light. Ooh, these are some fun hands. I like this hand a lot. That is creepy as all get out. Ooh, very cool. It's a fun fist. Okay, this is a study of the back muscles. I didn't really know what I was... Let me get my figure again. Didn't really know what I was looking at here. And it shows a little bit. I'm assuming I was looking at a photo or a drawing of back anatomy to know this, because I wouldn't have been able to do it this accurately if I just like were trying to make it up. But it's pretty good, all things considered. I feel like this is starting to help me figure out the sternocleidomastoid. That's this muscle right here. It attaches to the back of your head, and it wraps down to your collar. This is what gives your head that twist. You can see it again here. It goes from here down to there on both sides, right? All right, let's see. Cool. I don't know why I did this. This is kind of... Oh, it must have been from a photo. There's no point to put the front and the back together. It's kind of useless. I should have just drawn both the fronts and then both the backs. I know that this was from a drawing. And I can tell because I recognize it, but also, like, that eye is good, that eye is bad. I still haven't figured out the eyes here either. Like, ugh, that is nasty. This is a fun Doctor Strange drawing. I'm trying to draw Aang doing some earth bending here. This is kind of a fun pose. I like the idea and the storytelling here. What's interesting is if you look at this thumbnail, like, I like this thumbnail best, and then the drawing I absolutely hate. Everything's wrong here, but like, this is a lot more gestural, and so I was trying to get this curve in and stuff, but like, this is much stronger, interestingly. Self-portrait. This isn't quite as good. I think it's mostly my eyes are too big, but there's some interesting stuff going on there. Some characters. And then this is the last page. Just some weird creatures and a self-portrait. And someone was a guest of Anderson Carmen. It's good to know. All right, so that was 2 months. 2 months of Sketchbook from August to September of 2014. This is almost a 10-year-old sketchbook. Almost to the date because it's 2023 September or August, September. So yeah, so that one was pretty cool. Like I said, there's a lot of gestures in that. So the next one, I think I decided to move all the gestures to something else, to a different sketchbook or newsprint. But yeah, number 5 in the series. I will see you next time. Toodaloo.